made every sound sharper, every feeling deeper. The city outside hummed faintly, but in the living room, the air was filled with something else entirely, something magnetic. Two women sat close on a brown leather sofa, their presence painting the room with quiet intensity. The first woman, with long dark hair flowing over her shoulders, wore a cropped beige top and plaid skirt. There was a quiet confidence in her gaze, the type of expression that pulled you in without effort. Her movements were calm, deliberate, carrying a warmth that felt unshakable. Beside her was the second woman, with light brown hair that caught the glow of the lamps in soft highlights. Dressed in a white fitted dress, she radiated a quieter kind of beauty, gentle, serene, yet hiding sparks beneath the surface. When she looked at the woman beside her, her eyes softened, her lips curving as though she was holding back words too delicate to speak aloud. They leaned closer, slowly, steadily, their faces just inches apart, as if every second stretched endlessly. Then, finally, their lips touched. A kiss, gentle at first, almost hesitant, yet filled with something undeniable. It wasn't hurried. It wasn't just passion. It was the weight of emotions finding release, a connection discovered through silence and touch rather than words. The kiss lingered, deepened, and in that instant, the world outside ceased to exist. The room shrank to the space they occupied, the moment they shared. It wasn't the kind of kiss one forgets, it was the kind that lingered in the veins, in the breath, in the warmth that pulls through every part of them. The woman with dark hair raised her hand, gently cupping the other's face, her thumb brushing lightly against her cheek. That touch alone carried a flood of meaning. It was steady, grounding, yet electric enough to make the heart race. The woman in white melted into it, her own hand resting against the arm of the sofa for balance as she leaned further into the kiss. There was no rush. They kissed as though time belonged to them, as though every second could stretch into eternity. The rhythm of their breathing became part of the moment, blending with the quiet sounds of the room. Every pause, every brush of lips, every slight tilt of the head made the connection richer, hotter, and yet still wrapped in tenderness. When they finally drew back, their foreheads rested against one another, both breathing heavily, not from exhaustion, but from the overwhelming force of what they had just shared. Their eyes opened slowly, gazes locking, both unable to hide the unspoken truth between them. "You feel it too," whispered the woman in white, her voice trembling with softness. The darker-haired woman smiled faintly, her hand still resting against her partner's cheek. "Every heartbeat," she replied. The moment carried on, and they leaned into one another again. This time, the kiss carried more certainty, stronger, deeper, yet still respectful of the intimacy they had built. Their connection wasn't about haste, it was about discovery, about exploring each sensation as though it was new and precious. The sofa became their shared space of warmth. The way they leaned into one another made it feel like there was no need for anything else in the world, no lights, no sounds, no distractions. Only them. Two women completely lost in the gravity of each other. Their breaths quickened. Their hands moved naturally, one tracing the curve of an arm, the other brushing through soft hair. Every movement was tender, deliberate, as if each gesture was another sentence in the story they were writing together. A story not with words, but with closeness, with heat, with care. The room seemed to grow warmer. The atmosphere thickened with the unspoken, with desire tempered by tenderness. The kiss deepened again, and for a moment, it felt like their hearts were speaking directly to one another. The woman in white leaned back slightly, her lips still tingling, her eyes glimmering with unspoken emotion. "It feels different," she said softly, her chest rising and falling with each breath. Her partner nodded, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "It's not just a kiss. It's everything we've been waiting for without even knowing it." And again, they closed the distance. Lips meeting, bodies leaning closer, the softness of the moment interlaced with growing intensity. It was hot, undeniably so, yet not rushed. Every second built upon the last. Every breath became heavier, every glance carried more weight. To anyone watching, it would look like pure cinematic romance to women captured in 4,000 clarity, framed by soft lighting, held together by invisible threads of chemistry. But for them, it was more than cinematic. It was real. It was their truth unfolding in the most natural, magnetic way. Every couple listening, every person watching could feel it. The pull, the heat, the serenity wrapped in passion. The kind of moment that made you breathe differently, made you shift closer to the person beside you, made you want to touch, to feel, to connect. The story was not just theirs, it was an invitation. An invitation to believe in warmth, in intimacy, in connection that sets your soul alight. A kiss, yes, but more than that, a promise. The night carried on, and the two women stayed close, their silhouettes framed against the quiet backdrop of the room. Their kiss was only the beginning, a spark that had ignited something larger. The warmth between them would not fade with time. It would only deepen, only grow hotter, only become more unforgettable. And as the minutes passed into hours, they remained locked in that space of infinite closeness, knowing they had found something that no one could replicate, something made just for them. A night of touch, a night of passion, a night of infinite warmth. This was not just a kiss. This was everything. The night settled deeper, and the air in the room grew heavy with warmth. Neither of them moved far apart. Instead, they lingered in closeness, every brush of breath against skin charged with meaning. The sofa no longer felt like an ordinary seat, it had become the stage where their story unfolded, the anchor for the energy flowing between them. The woman with long dark hair, still holding her partner's cheek, let her thumb trace gentle circles across the soft skin. That small motion made the other woman's lips part slightly, her breathing growing heavier, her chest rising and falling in rhythm with the unspoken desire between them. It wasn't just about attraction anymore, it was about trust, about surrendering to a moment that felt too powerful to resist. The woman in white leaned forward again, pressing her lips against the others. This time, there was no hesitation. The kiss was firmer, hotter, a blend of passion and affection that made both of their bodies hum with energy. Their arms wrapped around one another instinctively, pulling each other closer until there was no space left between them. The sound of their breathing, the soft rhythm of lips meeting lips, filled the silence of the room like music composed only for them. It was cinematic, every angle of their bodies, every flicker of light against their hair, every shift in expression. If captured, the moment would appear like a perfect scene from a high-definition romance film, one that millions could watch and instantly feel their own hearts race. But for these two women, it wasn't performance. It was real. It was the raw heat of emotions blooming into something undeniable. They shifted slightly on the sofa, bodies turning so they faced one another more fully. The darker-haired woman's hand slid from her partner's cheek down to her shoulder, then to her arm, her fingertips leaving a trail of tingling electricity in their wake. The woman in white responded by running her own hand through her partner's hair, gripping lightly as though she never wanted to let go. Their connection was like a flame, steady, glowing, but growing hotter with each passing second. When they paused again, foreheads pressed together, they didn't speak immediately. Instead, they smiled breathless, eyes shining, their faces flushed with the heat of closeness. Finally, the woman in white whispered, "I've never felt anything this strong before." Her partner's lips curved into a tender smile. "Neither have I. It feels like everything else was just waiting for this." Another kiss followed, deeper, slower. Their movements mirrored each other's, as though they were perfectly attuned to one another. Hands explored gently, never rushed, always deliberate, tracing arms, backs, shoulders. Every touch added another layer to the heat. Every kiss built another brick into the fire they were constructing together. The air grew warmer still, thick with intimacy. Anyone listening to their story, anyone watching, would feel the pull themselves. It wasn't just about romance. It was about connection at its purest, hottest form. Couples everywhere would instinctively shift closer, hands finding hands, lips seeking lips, inspired by the sheer magnetism unfolding before them. The woman in beige leaned back slightly, gazing into her partner's eyes with an intensity that made time itself feel suspended. "You're beautiful," she said softly, her voice steady but laced with awe. The woman in white blushed, her lips parting as her heart raced. "So are you." More than words can hold. Their words melted into another kiss, longer this time, lips moving with a rhythm that spoke volumes without sound. Their bodies pressed closer, their warmth mingling until it felt like they were a single flame burning brighter than before. Minutes turned into moments that felt endless. The scene was hypnotic, dreamlike, yet grounded in the real emotions that pulsed through them. Their laughter spilled out between kisses, short, breathless giggles that made everything even more magnetic. It wasn't staged, it wasn't forced. It was two souls colliding in the most natural, irresistible way. The darker-haired woman finally leaned back against the sofa, pulling her partner with her so that she lay slightly against her chest. The woman in white nestled into the embrace, her head resting against the warmth of her partner's body, their fingers intertwined. The rhythm of their breathing synced once more, creating a quiet melody in the background of the night. Silence filled the room again, but it wasn't empty. It was full of heat, full of comfort, full of the unspoken promise that what had begun tonight would only grow stronger with time. The camera of imagination could capture it all. The softness of their skin, the glow in their eyes, the delicate way they touched one another as though they were discovering a treasure. The story was modern, fresh, yet timeless. Every couple listening could see themselves in it, could feel the urge to lean closer to their own partner, to create their own warmth, their own heat. The woman in white lifted her head again, her lips brushing just beneath her partner's jaw before whispering, "Stay with me like this. Don't let go." Her partner's response was immediate. She tightened her embrace, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "I never will." And with that, they returned to their rhythm. Lips meeting once more, bodies pressed closer, every kiss another vow, another spark feeding the fire between them. The story stretched into infinity, because nights like this were endless. Couples around the world listening could feel the energy radiating from the scene. The heat, the passion, the tenderness. It was contagious. It made hearts race. It made skin tingle. It made every listener and watcher want to reach for their own flame. Two women, two souls, one night of infinite warmth, captured in every breath, every kiss, every touch. A story modern, cinematic, and unforgettable. And as the final kiss deepened once more, the night became a promise that passion, when wrapped in love and tenderness, could ignite every heart, every couple, every listener across the world. A story so hot, so magnetic, yet safe, tender, and universal. A story that no one could turn away from. A story that made everyone, everywhere, believe again in the power of connection.